Right. Good morning and welcome back to Bamboo and Tea with Dr. Alana Coffey. I'm Dr. Alana Coffey and this is another one of our interviews. Now, a couple of bits of business before I introduce my guest this morning. One is we are outside for a reason. That is so that we can continue to be safe and be able to speak freely without masks and make sure we honor each other's safety. But being outside means that there's ambient noise. You can hear birds in the background, there's chickens, there may even be pigs back there. So anything could happen, and that is because we're outdoors, and being outdoors means it's also a very beautiful setting in the bamboo forest here in Honolulu. I am so honored to introduce one of my mentors and teachers from many, many years ago. His name is Amos Kotomori. And we're going to just talk about all the amazing things he's done. Now remember, I'm a clinical psychologist, and I'm interested in all things that help people to feel whole, healthy, balanced in their lives. And Amos has done that for myself and really many others. So good morning, Amos, and thank you for making time.
Thank you. I'm feeling so grateful to just be here with you. It's been so long, and we've both had amazing journeys.
It's real. I mean, like, when did our journey start? See, dog, ambient noise. Our journey started maybe early 80s, I want to say. Wow, Amos.
You know, that was a time that life changed for me in many ways, in that the AIDS epidemic was there at that time, and I stopped counting after 25 dear friends passed away.
Oh.
And it changes your life in terms of time and understanding of time. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, we all have those moments. And now I kind of live in the moment, because I think that's what COVID did and life experiences.
At that time, I think I was doing the math. I think I was about 18 or 19 when I met you. And I had no idea that you had been going through that many losses, because you were only ever so gracious and warm. There was never, I did not know that you were going through those losses. Wow.
Well, I remember seeing you, and there was a light about you. There was something about you that attracts, you know. And I think maybe it was the vibration between both of us, the energy between both of us. There's something that was appealing, but it just kind of spoke to me. And that's how I approached people to become models.
Yeah, and you were laughing at me the whole time, just like that. You laughed all the time, and I was like, "What am I doing?" And you were like, "Just stand still." Remember? But it was so great. Thank you for that beginning. But you know, and maybe we'll go back to that, because for me that was such a very valuable time, and I don't think I will never forget you, and I will never forget your belief and what you saw in me at that time. And at 19, so many of us don't know ourselves, right? And we don't see that light, but you saw it, and it mattered that someone saw it. But I want to talk about, you know, all of the other women and people that you've brought through. I think 70 women have, I mean, you know, you make beautiful people happen.
Well, you know, I think it's not about making them beautiful, it's making them feel beautiful and powerful and have a voice, and understand that they can make a difference, not to the world, but to themselves. And that makes all the difference. And all you need to do is give them an opportunity to speak, and all I do is listen. That's it. It's simple.
You know, I wanted to ask, what inspired you, you know, all that way? Because, you know, you're so gracious, but that doesn't mean that life has been easy for you, right? You talk about the losses of your friends and even some current health issues. And I wondered if you would speak to that. And it's very personal and very private, but also quite inspiring.
Life lessons comes in so many different ways, and I've supported myself. Basically, I have a degree in textiles and ceramics, a BFA, and then I have a master's in education and allied arts. So for my thesis, I wrote a thesis as well as I did a gallery show. But what happens when you live the life as an artist, and most of my life I've supported myself through my art, you realize that life is really about the journey and being about the moment. Like, for me, this moment right now is my future. You know, it's. I think there's a different approach to a timeline, to a lifeline, and just finding. Most people like to find a purpose in life, but I think the purpose is about now.
It's already here.
And it's already here.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I think everything is a miracle. I think just sitting here in this incredible environment that you've created, to live out in nature like this and be isolated at the same time.
Right, and connected so much, right?
Yes.
So, you know, I still feel that connection to you after, 36 years or something. I don't want to do the math, but really still feeling that connection. And, you know, it's interesting you mentioned miracles, because to me, you've had many miracles in your life. You know, I think even that health crisis that I was mentioning, but that is, a miracle. Again, you walk through it humbly, but it is an inspiration to see you, and I was so worried for you. And then the next thing I know, you're like, like Amos.
That's funny. You know, it's well, about 11 years ago now, I was diagnosed with cancer of the bladder, colon, hip bone, and lymph nodes. And they basically gave me 6 months. I'm still here.
Did you say 11 years ago?
Yeah.
Miracle. Yeah.
You know, and to me, it's about the challenges that was presented. And cancer is not about dying. It's about living and learning how to live. And with each breath, appreciate and live with gratitude. And so from there, what happened 5 years later, I went through 54 days of chemo.
Oh, days?
And days. I had a port on, and it was trying.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like, at the same time I made it a game, because with the port there's like a sound when the medication is being applied, intravenously, and it sounded like a Polaroid camera shooting in process. You know, that zzz,
Yeah.
zzz, zzz, and it would happen every so often, intermittently. And I just think someone's taking a picture of me. So I'm just going to strike a pose. I'm going to smile. I'm going to do, and it just lifted. I made it a game. And also I counted backwards. I knew I had 54 days of treatment. And I counted backwards. So, 54, then I had 53, then it came down to 5, then it came down to 3, and then 1. It was so much easier than saying, I'm on 50 now. I'm on 50. You just have to find a way to make it work and be positive. And I think that energy creates a vibration that attracts more people with healing energy. And on my first day of chemo, is when I launched my collection at Neiman Marcus.
I read that. I mean, like,
yeah. People didn't know. I went to the Queens and I got hooked up in the morning from 8:30. Left there about 12:30, and the opening started at 2.
Oh, Amos.
But I could not think of a better way than to celebrate the first day of treatment than by being surrounded by a project that it took 2 years to develop and
like
finally
a love
get
project.
out. And also to be surrounded with friends supporting you.
Yeah.
And I thought, and they didn't know the situation.
Wow.
It was incredible, and that's just what I needed.
So that's that psychology piece. We talk about arts as being somewhat separate, but to me, arts is psychology, and that is, the narrative that we say and the narrative that we have of ourselves in the situation, and the hopeful thinking and the realistic thinking at the same time. But that's psychology in action. It's activated. It's not passive. It's moving forward. That's mental health.
Right. I think, for me anyway, being creative was natural. I mean, I just see the world in many different ways, I think. When I eat something, I get a vision of a color or fashion or a style. I look at a fighting fish and I look at the tail and I go, wow, that would be great in chiffon. It's like, it needs that action. It needs that moire, blending of colors. But as living as a creative person, and I think we all are in a different way. And the difference is there is not a want, but there is a need to create, to manifest something. And that completes that thought, and the thought manifests itself physically. And when it manifests itself, I'm able to move forward. And I've morphed into so many different occupations and professions, but it's been,
Do you remember that time? So I would do fashion shows, right? You would hire me to do runway fashion shows. And there was one, you were like, oh, something's missing. And I don't know where you got it from, but it was a palm frond. Like this big palm. Do you remember that? I mean, you would do these kinds of things. And you're like, hold it like this and go. And, like you just saw it. And, I still wish I had a photo of that because it just was such a visual. And just something's missing, and you gave me like a living green thing to walk with. It was wonderful.
It's again the moment, and you know when something needs to be completed, or you need to begin, or simply stop. There's a moment when you know that's it. And the tendency is always to overwork it, overthink it. And part of my thesis was conceptual art. It's when you overthink something, you don't have to do it anymore. It's done. So there's no need to manifest it. So I kind of stopped myself before that.
Nice. There is a thing of worried and lose the line, lose the point. So, yeah. And, for an artist, it's always, I always find myself, just one more piece, like when is it done, right? But somehow the piece or the situation will let you know, okay, it's done.
I think it's being open to listening to your gut, to your instincts, and trusting them. And that only comes with repeated success, quite honestly, or failures. And for me, sometimes failures are a better teacher because it reinforces, like,
that's the line, not there.
It's the line, and it's like, what did I learn from that? And why did it happen? And sometimes there's no real answer. You just have, that's life.
Yes. Tell me about your time in Bali. This is something that many things in common, but this is one of the things that we both love. And, you've created some life for yourself in Bali. So can you talk about your villa there?
Got up one morning and I just said Bali, not knowing
where
it was or anything. So, but in 2 weeks I was there. Bali is home of the gods. Yeah. It is very spiritual. It's Hindu. It's the vegetation, the people remind me of Hawaii. Being brought up with family. And what happens is that Hawaii has extended family, and it's like weaving a lei. You weave all these different people into your life, and they bring meaning. And sometimes it's just a moment in passing, and it's like seeing a child, have an aha moment of what it feels like to be giving. It's that kind of feeling in Bali. And not only that, but they do offerings daily. Right. Yeah. And so on our, property there, Villa Bodhi, and I don't feel it's mine. I think, it's there for all of us to enjoy. But there's 5 different offerings twice a day.
Beautiful.
And it's living with that makes it really different, and it reminds me of old Hawaii. Where people didn't lock their doors, where people, if they grew, vegetables or fruit, I still to today, it's like buying mangoes, bananas, avocados. It's just not agreeable for me. Because it's awful. It's something that needs to be shared.
Yes.
Not sold, and every now and then it happens, and people are willing to do that. But yeah, Bali is magical.
On your website for, Villa Bodhi, you credit so many of the people there, right? You see the gardener who's tending and the chef, because we've spent some time in Indonesia, specifically in Bali as well, and it's really the family that comes to take care of you, right? Like they are connected and they tend to own the property around and also the people in it. So you're right that we get kind of woven in that. So we love that part of it too.
I don't like walls, but one of the first things they did is they said you must build a wall. So and it wasn't so much about making boundaries. It was about creating a safe place for family and creating a place that would be a place for my extended family there. And I really don't think that I own the place. I think we work together, and we do that. It's in a little village of 200 people, maybe 60 families. And when I say they live in compounds, it's from great grandparents. My manager's father lived till 115.
Wow.
And they take care of them. They live there together. And so it's the whole feeling, the whole psychology of family is different.
How often do you get there?
I used to go there maybe 2-3 times a year.
Right.
I'm doing that, and I'd stay for a month and maybe longer.
Yeah.
The last 10 years have been traveling because I've been working in Bangkok. And so producing my shirts, as well as I was the creative consultant, design consultant for Jim Thompson, which is the world's largest silk house.
Amazing.
And so that took me away from Hawaii 7 to 10 months out of the year.
Wow. Is this one of your designs, Dana?
It is,
It's
and
beautiful.
it's like, this is spirit writing. And what happened in Bali is that I was outside like this, and about 50 swallows flew overhead, and they were just loud and happy, and they started circling around, and they were just really doing this like a party. And so I quickly got out a calligraphy brush, a sumi brush, and just started writing down their conversations.
Oh.
And so like the bold ones is their conversation, and the blue, the lighter color, is the replies that they had.
Oh,
and so I very quickly
Amos,
just,
really?
captured that moment. And
Wow.
this is what I'm wearing. It's called
gorgeous.
Bird Whispers.
It's gorgeous.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
I think that, my feeling is shirts and my designs is really like wearing a prayer. Because I try to put in good thoughts and stories. And that's what motivates my designs, bigger picture.
Oh, man.
You haven't changed at all. Your joy for life, your enthusiasm to help people, and your understanding of a bigger picture is still there, and it's grown.
Thank you for helping me ground
Oh, no.
when I was younger, because there were so many different ways that a young person can go, and you were part of saying, this way, you're okay, go this way. So thank you for that guidance. And, so what are you going to do next? I just want, real fast, before we're pal.
Yes.
So please tell us, how do we find you? How shall I continue to look for you?
You can contact me at Amos at AmosKotomori.com. And my plans in the future is that I would like to upcycle fabric and take old fabrics, old garments, and remake them so that it's more green. And being conscious of climate change. I think we all can do things to encourage that, like stop using paper towels, except when it's really needed. But just use a cloth that could be washed. Stop using plastic straws. Simple things in our daily lives that will really make the future for the next generation
Possible. Yeah.
because it's changing too quickly.
You really see this in Indonesia and Bali, where things it is beautiful. They turn out a beautiful home. It's so elegant, and almost everything is green. They don't use a lot of stuff.
There's been a change because like Hawaii and everything else, it's like everywhere else in the world. There's a lot of pollution in the ocean. And the reason for that is that it's a lifestyle. And what happened is that Bali was always green. Their plates were made out of banana leaves. Their cooking utensils were different. Their spoons and everything was bamboo and things. And so when it got old, they simply threw it in the stream. It was biodegradable. Today, it's plastic. And with plastic, then the plastic goes from the streams down to the ocean. It's about retraining people to think differently about what they're using, how they're doing it, and really helping each other.
Wow. So your Grace expands many places across the ocean to Thailand, to Bali, here in Honolulu, in Hawaii. Amos, thank you so much for coming. Our film crew, I want to thank, the folks at Kappa. I want to thank Dylan, Ollie. These are folks who also have a production company called Kappa Mag. And, everything that we do expands, right, to help other people, other artisans. So maybe they'll be so gracious as to offer me another time, and if they offer me another time, will you come back?
I would love to.
Okay.
That's great.
And thank you, because you brought masks. Did you make this textile too?
Yes.
Oh
yes,
my
yes.
gosh, so.
Well, no, it's okay.
You're like full of all kinds of
it's
things.
like I've distributed over 3,000 masks to people, to nurses and schools and different places. I don't sell them. I just want to support and help people.
Thank you, Amos. So thank
Thank
you.
you.
And thank you for my bees.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you
You're
so much.
special, and thank you.
Thank you. All right. Aloha, you folks.